Welcome to the modules for the Administration Code Regulation 703 KAR 5:080. My name is Devin Avery, and I am a program consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. This training must be completed prior to administering any state-required assessments. Each section of the larger training has been broken down into training modules. Please review all 5 modules for the complete Administration Code training. Module 5 will discuss test material concerns and how to report those, test allegations information, reviewing secure test materials, reporting data and indicators, and there will be a check for understanding at the end of the module. At times, there may be concerns about errors or appropriateness in content or answer choices in test material. What does the regulation say about reporting test material concerns? If you have a concern regarding an error, content, appropriateness of an item, etc., do not discuss in any manner with others. To report the concern, complete the following steps. First, do not reproduce the test item in any way. Photocopying, photographing, handwriting, typing, scanning, or emailing the question in whole, in part, or paraphrasing it in any way. Next, identify the location of the error, the grade level, the subject area, the test form, the item number, and the page number if applicable. Next, summarize the error in general. You may say something like, no correct answer choice. The summary shall not unduly compromise the security of the assessment by revealing the content of the item. Remember to provide the student SSID. And finally, notify the DAC, who shall then contact KDE, Office of Assessment and Accountability, and forward any requested documentation. Here is an example of an appropriate report of a concern regarding secure test materials. It includes all of the information needed to find the item in question without compromising test security. There is nothing in this report that would indicate any content or any secure material. The reported material should not be discussed with anyone during or after the test session aside from making the report to the BAC or DAC. As much as we try to have a perfect test administration, testing allegations can occur. All potential testing violations of the Administration Code Regulation, Inclusion of Special Populations Regulation, or TAM, must be reported as allegations to KDE for investigation. Anyone may report allegations by notifying school, district staff, or directly to KDE. Allegations can be reported anonymously through phone calls or emails. The reported information must be sufficient enough to warrant an investigation. Reports lacking enough information are stalled and cannot be followed up with an investigation. These allegations are investigated by KDE staff. They require documentation of the incident to be submitted and can include school visits or interviews with those involved. Once the investigation is complete, the testing allegations coordinator reports findings and makes recommendations to the commissioner. The recommendations from KDE do not include disciplinary action. However, the violation may be also referred to EPSB. The commissioner will then communicate with the district superintendent, who will apply the recommendations, including any locally determined disciplinary action. The impact of allegation reporting on student scores varies by assessment type and outcome of the investigation. Some assessment vendors may choose to withhold, invalidate, or lower student scores based on the nature of the confirmed issue, such as plagiarism. Other assessments may not impact the individual student score, but may adjust a school or district's accountability reporting. In addition, KDE may require schools with serious test security issues, as determined during the allegation process, to follow specific testing guidelines. For example, two-person control of secure test materials, additional monitoring, etc., during future test administrations. If a school or district's accountability classification is impacted, they may challenge that action via the appeal process described in 703 KAR 5:240 Accountability Administrative Procedures and Guidelines. Here are some categories of allegations and some examples. Please note that these examples are not an exhaustive list. Note how these align with other examples given previously in the allegation prevention best practice slides throughout the training. The allegation examples here discuss issues related to testing order, test time, accommodations for special populations, and other allegations related to test prep, training issues, or security breaches. Sometimes, parents or other persons not employed by a Kentucky public school district ask to review secure assessment components. The administration code also addresses this and provides guidelines. Local districts should never allow the review of secure materials. If parents or other persons not employed by a Kentucky public school district wish to review secure test components, they should contact KDE to request a time to review materials in person at the KDE offices in Frankfort. KDE may permit this review on the conditions of availability of appropriate staff to supervise the review activities and the reviewer signing a non-disclosure form. One component of the state assessment and accountability system is public reporting of the student data and non-academic indicators. Aggregated student data and accountability indicators are reported publicly for schools and districts. Local districts shall be responsible for submitting this data as accurately as possible and are responsible for informing KDE of any known errors in the data reported. Reporting of incorrect data for the purpose of inaccurately affecting public reports shall be considered a violation of this administration code and shall be treated as described in this document. During an embargo, authorized district and school staff may discuss assessment data internally with school and district personnel after signing a non-disclosure agreement. However, data cannot be shared in public meetings or by the media until public release. This is to protect the confidentiality and privacy of individual student data and the security of the summary data and reports. Releasing embargoed data without the consent of KDE shall be considered a violation of this regulation. It's time for our fifth and final check for understanding. Again, we will read through these yes or no questions and discuss the answers. Question 1. If you have a concern about a test item, is it acceptable to summarize the question when reporting to administration? The answer is no. You may never reproduce a test item in any way, in whole, in part, or in summary. Please refer to the process outlined in this training. Question 2. Are DACs expected to make determinations about what constitutes a reportable testing allegation? The answer is no. All potential testing allegations must be reported. Question 3. Is it acceptable for a parent to review a secure test item at the district's central office if they request? The answer is no. Local districts should never allow the review of secure materials. And finally, can only authorized staff review and discuss assessment data during the embargo period after signing a non-disclosure? Yes, during an embargo, authorized district and school staff may discuss assessment data internally after signing a non-disclosure agreement. However, that data cannot be shared in public meetings or by the media until public release. This concludes Module 5. Remember, you should complete all 5 modules in order to complete the entire Administration Code Regulation training. If you have any questions, please email us at dacinfo@education.ky.gov or give us a call at 502 564 4394.